In this video, I'm going to show you how to create this glowing looping circle using geometry nodes in Blender. Let's get started. As you can see, we are in geometry nodes tab and this is our default cube. Press new to create a new geometry nodes graph, and let's delete the input node, and I will search for a new node called curve circle. So you can simply press Shift plus A and search for any node that you want to bring in. As you can see, after connecting the curve circle to the output node, we have a circular curve in our viewport. I'll also add a new node called transform geometry, and I will use this node to rotate my circular curve. I'll rotate it by 90 degrees on x-axis. Next, I will add a new node called trim curve. Now this node is quite special because it will help us in animating the circle or circular curve. It has two inputs, start and end, and you can change the value of these parameters and it will help in animating the circle like this. So if you change the value of start parameter, the starting end will move, and same is the case with the end parameter. It will move the other end of the curve. It can be applied on any curve, not just circular. Let's rotate it by minus 90 degree on y-axis. So what will happen? The curve will start animating from the top. And we can also rotate it on z-axis by 180 degrees to change the direction of the animation. Let's add curve to mesh node. As the name suggests, it will convert our curve into a mesh object, and we will also add a profile curve, and I'll simply use the same node curve circle, so it will give a geometry to the curve. Okay, so you can see that it is now in cylindrical shape. We can reduce the radius. I've kept it 0.03, and that's how it will look. Let me adjust these input nodes, and I will add a new node called value and connect it to the trim curve node. Basically, I will use the value node to change the end parameter of trim curve. So at the first frame, I have set a keyframe by keeping my mouse cursor on this value, okay, making it 0. And then I will drag the timeline to 60th frame and change the value to 1, and again set it as keyframe. So now I have two keyframes, one at the first frame and the second at the 60th frame. And I'll also set the duration of the animation to 60 frames only. So now it will animate like this. As soon as it ends, it starts from the same position. So it feels like it's looping over. Now let's try to add some texture or material to our circle. First, let me make some space for the new nodes that I'll be using here in this graph. I'll add a set material node first. On the side panel, I'll create a new material. And I'll also set the emission strength to 5. It will help us in adding that glow effect. And In the set material node, I'll select the same material. Now after the trim curve node and before set material node, I'll add a new node called store named attribute. So this particular node will help us in communicating between uh, geometry nodes and shading nodes. Over here you can give a variable name. Let's call it curve color and also copy it. And connect this value parameter to the value node. So our value node will provide input to two nodes. First is trim curve and the second is store named attribute. We are doing this because we want to pass the information of the status of our curve in terms of its length or its animation to the shading nodes, and that's why we are passing the value to the store named attribute node. Let's go to the shading tab. Over here we'll make some changes in the material. This is our object, our circular curve. Let me change the viewport shading to rendered, and I'll be using EV render engine. Let's also increase the samples to 32 for both viewport and render. Now I'll add a new node attribute and paste the same variable name curve color in this node. So it will help us in getting the value of the curve animation from geometry nodes. Next I'll add the color ramp node, and this will help us in adding different colors to our circle. And as we have seen at the beginning of this video in the animation, the color was changing one after the other, and we will use three colors: green, yellow and red. So this is the first color, green, and also increase the roughness to maximum for this curve. I've added a new lever in the color ramp and I'll set its value to yellow. And finally the third lever, I'll change its color to red. Also change the interpolation to constant. Here you can adjust the colors like this. And over here we will pass the same output color to emission color as well. So the emission or glow will be of same color. Now let's play this animation, and I'll also change the viewport to render shading. So here you can see our circle is displaying all the three colors one by one. Now let's try to add the glow effect or bloom effect to the circle. For that we will have to use the compositing nodes. Here we'll add the glare node between input and output and set the type to bloom. Now just render the current frame to be able to see that bloom effect. I think I have not added the camera, so I'll first add the camera and then render it. So there you go, added a camera, and I'll change the view for this camera. So that's entirely up to you. You can adjust your camera whichever way you like. Okay, this looks good. The circle is at the center of the view. All right, now I think we can render the frame and also add the bloom effect. Again, I'll go back to the compositing node and press F12 to render the current frame, and this is how it will look. You can see in the background. So this is the rendered image. You can change the amount of glow from this parameter strength. I'll leave it at 1. Now here, if you want to see the glow, use this option compositor and set it to always, and there you go. Looping animated circle with glow and different colors.